I feel that most people go the opposite way about intuition development. So if these are our chakras, there's 7. I know there might be more, but we're just going to work with the 7. If you do psychic work, if you do meditation, shamanism, something like that, we're working on the higher centers, right? We're looking at visions, we're going into connection with spirit, and that's really wonderful. But if there's no grounding and the bottom centers haven't been addressed, you will be both psychic and ungrounded at the same time. It's a recipe for mental health conditions. We would say that there's a disharmony in the chakra systems. We want them all to be aligned. We want them all to be balanced, right? And this is what we're working on, the bottom 3. A mentor of mine calls the bottom 3 the troublemakers. I kind of like it. We still have to organize the base first and build on it with the sacral, which I call the fractal of creation. This is your creativity center and your sexuality center, right? Troublemaker for sure. But the base, I call the basin of safety. Some people call it the root chakra because it connects you with the earth so that your roots go down. I call it the basin of safety because it represents how many resources you have and how safe you can feel, which is really important for nervous system regulation. I want to know how many resources, which means if I throw a stressful situation at you, what do you got? Where's your battery level at? And that does involve how much time have you got to respond to the situation? How much money do you have in the bank account to solve problems quickly? How many people around you are there to support? Do you have access to knowledge? Do you know how to change your life? Do you have access to clean food, clean water, right? Nutrition. And they go towards a collective amount of what you have, which will amount to how safe you feel in each moment. Let's say the basin of safety goes from 0 up to 100. We need to check in with ourselves where we're at. But in years and years of working with people, both energetically and through their diet and lifestyle, every base chakra I found, every basin of safety was deficient. I named it the basin of safety because I felt like it was like a basin and some people hadn't put the plug in. And they're trying to figure out why they can't fill up the basin. So they put it in, it drains out. They put it in, it drains out. And it's just gushing. Can't hold it. But then I noticed that a lot of people had a lot of little gaps, like little micro holes. They put the money in and it swims out. They allow more time in their schedule and they fill it with other things. There's a form of self-sabotage in it, but we've got to figure out what these holes are about. Because filling and draining doesn't feel very good. We really want to hold at a certain level. So I often get people to measure what unit of resources is in their basin of safety. So I'll get you to do that now. Between 0 and 100, first voice, best choice. Don't think about it too much. There's a number between 0 and 100 that you need to know right now represents your resources today. This is the point I want to address. So if we are about 50 and under, we're going into survival mode because we don't have enough resources to respond to anything. 50% and under, we're in fight and flight all the time. We're reacting to things. You're going to feel unsafe and your body will respond to that. And we're walking around with these low resources a lot of the time. A lot of us have a lot of holes and we actually haven't put in the structure to get the resources up and hold them there. And what I hope for is saying, don't worry about creativity right now. Don't worry about who you are. This is the fundamental conversation. Get your resources up. So those of you that are around 50, I just want you to flag that you're close to a survival paradigm. But at 50%, we want to build. We don't want to drain anymore. We don't want to take any more risks right now. Yeah. I would not send you into a triggering environment if you had 50% in your tank. I'll be like, if you want to and need to go back to that environment, 80 or above, please. Up around the 80 or 90, you've got a bit more capacity to give to other people, to create something wonderful and take the risk of bottoming the resources out. But what I see a lot of is 50%, people are still going out there and giving away all of their resources to other people. I'll help you. Let me do it. Why don't you take some of my money? I'll come round and help clean your house. Your house is not in order. Yep. So overgiving means that even near the scarcity programs, this is where the scarcity programs start coming in, the negative thought forms. If you're still helping other people and doing everything for them, then we have a problem with overgiving. So what do you think the ways that we can build resources are? Regular meals, sleep, sunlight, yep, good food, connection, yep. Doing things that you love, boundaries, journaling, time in nature. This is individual to you, right? So just because the sun rises every day, you get more resources. If you take it, right? We've talked about getting out in the sun. We've talked about eating good food. We've talked about sleeping well. You get the capacity to top up your resources, right? So let's say every day, because of Father Sky and the sun, you have the opportunity to bank 10 more units. Does the 10 units add to the 50 or the 60 or the 70 that you got, or is it draining straight away? So if you get more energy every day, and we do, because every time we sleep, we wake up and we've got a bit more capacity, don't we? That's if you sleep well. But where do we invest our time, energy, money? And does it reward us? And is it a good investment? And does it increase our resources, or is it a drain? So let's say you get 10 units from the sun and all you do is eat junk food that day. You know, things like white bread, they take more resources from your body than they actually give. So you're putting something in and you're in the negative because how difficult it is for your body to get it out. So we need to bank the investment and increase, or at least just keep it level and start moving up. So if you get the 10 every day, but that 10 goes out into shitty habits or your past, then we're going to keep leaking. But most people will stay in that perpetual 50% and under stage because they don't know anything different, right? So they're always reacting to something. So we've got to get the nervous system back into regulation and into safety so that everything signals safety. From there, we can go into higher centers. But if we don't have supportive relationships, if we don't have good health, if we can't even get to sleep, we have a problem. And I think if all of this was nurtured, a lot of people could stay out of the psych wards and out of the system. Because all they do is medicate you to shut it all down so that you do sleep and you do eat and you can be around people again. And when that veil lifts, they're at risk of going out and repeating the same patterns, right? Because this conversation is not fundamentally addressed. So we've got to start releasing a lot of the pressure, plugging up the holes, and understanding what suits us and our resources better. We want you to have ample time, enough money, and supportive relationships around you so that you have choice all the time, or you feel like you have choice, because you do always have choice. So if you're 50 and under, we need to boost the resources. We've looked at a few ways of how to do it. We need to put these things in very quickly, plug up the drains. Because 50% and under, you're not going to be a creative being, not in the way you want to. If you want to move into this center is about creating fertile soils for anything to be nourished. It's about balancing masculine and feminine. If you want to balance masculine and feminine, it starts here. If you want to change your identity and become a better version of yourself, it starts here. Yep, with the boring stuff.